Hey everyone, it's Pam from Glam Junk Journals, and today is the next installment in my video series on my own personal challenge to use up scraps. So if you remember in our last video tutorial, we made this gorgeous scrap fabric paper, or paper fabric, as Ronda Winstead would like to call it. And so what I did off camera is I did cut around the edges to make it even. And here is the back. And this measures, let's see, 13 across by 10 down. And what I'm going to do, and I told you guys this in my last video, is I'm going to use this as the backside or the interior of my journal cover. So what I did is I folded it over, and based on the spine that I'm thinking about doing is probably going to be about a 2-inch spine right there. I looked through my fabric scraps and I know, believe it or not, I had something that would go with this. So I pulled out a piece of fabric and this was what I found. Let me show it to you. This is a curtain topper. You can see where, the curtain rod would go in there. So it's a really, 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 really long piece of fabric. I got this at Goodwill for like $2. So yeah, when you guys are looking at thrift stores, not only look at the clothes section, but look in the domestics for curtains and, blankets and throw pillows, everything that you could possibly use in a junk journal. So that's what I found. So what I did, rather than bore you with just cutting stuff, is I cut a piece of that gorgeous material, and look how good that's going to go together. Oh my goodness. And it's crazy because when I first started out with junk journaling, I didn't have scraps. I didn't know what to collect, and I didn't know what to buy, what to save, all that kind of stuff when you're just starting out with junk journaling. So my suggestion to anyone just starting out is just whatever you like, whatever grabs you, whatever things speak to you. And these kind of fabrics, I've just gravitated towards florals and vintage and all sorts of really vibrant patterns, although I like the, vintagey pastels, just whatever suits your fancy. So I found this, like I said, and what I did is I cut it out a little bit larger, probably an inch around each of the edges. So it's an inch larger than the interior of my book. And I'll tell you how I'm going to put this together. This is ending up to be a soft-sided journal. And what that means is it's not made out of a book cover or anything that is harder so far as maybe a real thick piece of cardboard or something along those lines. This is more of a soft-sided one. So I cut out this fabric, like I said, an inch bigger all the way around. And another thing I did is I cut a piece of fleece, and I'll show you that because I like kind of the thickness of the fleece. And if you don't have fleece, you can certainly make it without this inner extra padding. I just like the way it kind of feels quilted when it's all put together. And I've used sweatshirts for this. I've used, what else have I used? Blankets. And so anything that adds a little bit of extra cushion. And I tried to cut it almost exactly the same as the interior of my cover. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this together and I'll show you how it's going to work here. So what I'm going to do is grab my Fabrifix, and I had it sitting upside down so with the lid on tight so that I wouldn't have to mess around with, you know, waiting for it to get down to the bottom, because I'm almost out here. So let me see if that comes off. And I'm just going to tack it down just around the edges here. And the reason I'm tacking it down is I am going to take it to my sewing machine. And I have found that when I'm sewing together, I'll get this off of here, get that fleece off of the back. When I'm sewing it together, it tends to kind of move a little bit. So even if I start out having it exactly positioned on here, sometimes it ends up so that when I'm sewing it kind of travels this way. So I like to tack it down and, you know, just put a couple dots in the middle. It's not really going to matter on here. So I'm just going to position this so that it stays put. And it kind of stretches too. So I think that's part of the other issue that I have when I'm at my sewing machine is, you know, when it's under the presser foot, it'll kind of push and it'll get a little bit longer on one side. So I'm just going to make this as even as possible on the whole thing and just have it tacked down. All right, so I'm going to pull that a little bit over there. I want it to be as close as possible. Reason being, and I'll show you that when I get to it, when the journal is put together, I don't want, you know, cushioning or the quilting on everything and then just having an end where it's kind of thinner. It doesn't seem like it's the same thickness, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to get this as even as possible. That looks pretty good. I mean, you know, a teeny bit at the ends, that's okay. All right, pull that over. It's looking good. I think I need a little more glue on this end. It's not staying down. Come on. See what I did? Oh. I turned this back over and now I have to wait for the glue to get down to the bottom again. Dang it. Okay. Got to be smarter than the glue, and sometimes I'm not. Okay. Move that over, get that smushed down so it stays. So I can take it over to my machine and have it stay put. Okay. How does that look? That looks really good. Okay, now here's how it's going to go together. This is going to be my outside cover, so I'm going to flip it over, and depending on, I'm going to turn this around here, you got to look which way you want your flowers to go. And I have decided that I like this flower, so meaning this guy, on the front. So that's the way I want my front journal cover to end up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and flip it back over so the top is facing up. And if you remember on my last video, I can tell which way is up on my the inside on this fabric paper because of my bike and the writing right there. And so I'm going to position this evenly all the way around. I'm just going to eyeball it, maybe take my ruler, I don't know. Let's see. It's about, oh, that's a little over an inch and a little less. See how the eyeballs aren't exactly the same. But the only reason I'm taking this extra step to make sure that the borders are the same is what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over when I sew it. All right. See how the bottom and the top are. That looks like it's just about an inch, and that is too. Okay, so let me just check my sides again. How's this looking? That's like 1.25 inches. and 1.25 inches. Yay! Okay, so this is positioned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack down just a teeny bit on the edge here, and you don't want a big glue glob because this time it will soak through on the cover fabric, and I don't want glue globs to soak through here. So I'm just going to do a little bit on the edges, just like I said, to hold it in place when I take it over to my sewing machine. All right, get each of the corners here. And then one other thing that I'm thinking about before I take this over to my machine is if kind of thinking ahead here as to how it's going to look once it's sewn. So if you go on each of the sides, it's going to fold in like that, and I'm going to fold these up. So we're going to sew all the way around the edges. And one thing that, for me, personal preference, is once this is sewn in, I don't care for just this straight line right here. To me, that looks unfinished, like it needs something else right here along the sides, and maybe even on the bottom. I haven't figured that part out yet, but I will. So what I'm thinking is, yes, back to the scraps. Here's my box. Remember when we went through this on the first video, getting all my stuff? I am going to take some lace that I pulled from my scrap bin of lace, and I am going to sew. When I put it all in my sewing machine, I'm going to have that right along the side there and right along the side over here. To me, this lace kind of finishes off this rough edge, although you could always leave the rough edge and maybe, have it fray a little bit. That's a cool idea too. Or put some ribbon right here, or, leave it as is. It's everyone's personal preference. So if I do that on both sides, right, I think this is going to be long enough if I stretch it. What's going to happen with this? Let's look at the bottom and see what the deal is. Now, do I like that? Nah, it's okay. It's okay, but what I think I'll do, and I think it'll look good, is I'll do kind of a scallop stitch along the edge here, and that'll finish it off. So I think the combination of the lace on the side and the scallop along the bottom and the top will look finished for me. So let's get this together, and then I will pause for a second while I go sew it, and then we'll go from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this in half just to make it even. And this is a stretchy lace. It has a little bit of elastic in it, so I can make it a teeny bit longer. So let's see, what am I going to do here first? Let's get my glue. And like I said, again, we're going to use just a little bit to tack down the edges. So I'm going to use a teeny bit there along this side. And I'm going to hold this guy upside down between my legs so that he stays, and just pull it tight. And then you can kind of pull the other end just to, make sure it's all flat so you don't have some weird bubbles in the middle. All right, we'll get the other side here. Got to improvise with this glue here, right? I have been storing it upside down, but when I use it, I tend to not, put it back upside down, so I got to start over. All right, so pulling it pretty taut there. All right, so that looks good. And see what's going to happen on the other side is there is my journal cover. Yeah, hey. And it's got just enough softness to just make it feel really good. It's not too thick. See, it's not too thick. So it's not like you're going to have an inch thick journal cover. Okay, now from here, think of this, you guys. We're going to fold up these ends, right? And so you have this weird little corner there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make a little cut. It's kind of like folding a present, corners on a present. So what I'm going to do, let's see now, I always forget which way to do this. And I don't think there's really a right or wrong way. So I am just going to cut up from diagonal from the corner on the outside to the end of the line right there. And what that's going to do is get rid of some of this extra fabric. So basically what I did is I just created a little triangle, right? And I'm going to fold it up, and that didn't work out really well the way I wanted it to. Dang it, I did it backwards. Oh well, that's okay, because I think what I needed to do is go the other way. See, I never remember this. But you're not going to be able to see it. So now I think what I have to do is cut this way. So let's do that one on this side. Okay. So we're going from the inside out to the end of the journal. And I don't do this enough to remember. Do you guys do that where you're like, okay, how did I do that last time? All right, now we're gonna fold it up. Woo, and I've got glue globs, hold on. There we go. All right, and this is gonna be fine. It's not gonna be a big deal. I'm gonna go along the edge here and get the whole thing tacked down again. That one looks a little funky, but I'll fix it. That's all in the world of junk journals, right? It's never a mess up. It's just an opportunity to learn. And you'll never be able to tell. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling taut again, just along that little bit of glue that I got going there. And then on this side, the same deal here, just making a corner. Looks like I need some more right here. It's not staying. And then in case you get too much, kind of wipe it with your finger just to get some of the extra glue out of there. There again, you don't want the glue globs to show through on your fabric. All right, now that looks awesome. I'm going to go to the other side. Now, short-term memory, right? Which way did you do this? You went from the inside out. So meaning from here on the inside, diagonal to the corner. And you don't go all the way to the corner. You do a little bit beyond. And what that does is it covers up the corner. So I'm going to do that on this side right here. Okay. I'm going to do, got a glue glob there again. See that? Ugh. Get that down too. And there again, I am not totally securing this because I am taking it to my sewing machine. So this is more just tacking it down so that when I go to my sewing machine, it doesn't go all over the place. Push that stuff down, get that corner in there. Oh, this is looking really good, you guys. Yay, yay. Little corner there, corner here. All right, let's see what the other side looks like. Get that little guy down. See, so on the corners, there's a nice fold on each of the ends, like that, if you can see that. All right, now we're going to put our lace down. And this guy needs to be stretched a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this extra little guy off of here too. I'll do just some dots with some tacking of the Fabrifix on there just to hold it. Pull that just a teeny bit because, like I said, it is elastic. And what I like too is to move it in a little bit so that you can see part of the fabric that's folded over. And I'm just going to tack that down like I said. And you can also, this is something that, let me get that fuzz out of there. I'm going to do to hold it is I am going to get some of my large clips here and hold that guy down on one end and then the other end. I'm going to pull that down on the bottom. Okay, so that's one side. That looks really good. We'll do the other side. Ooh. All right, some more just little dots to get it kind of positioned there. All right. And I don't think there's a front and a back on this. It's hard to say on this lace. I don't think so. And then make it even. Hold it there. Now let me get two more of those little clippies in my area here. There's one. And let's see. I know I have another one here. There it is. All right. Clip that one. Now that one looks a little uneven. So there's my analness coming through. You know, junk journals, what I like is you can be as, you know, picky as you want. You can just have it all random, which I kind of do a little bit of both. There's certain areas where I like things right in line, and then there's other areas where I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's not exactly even. That's what a junk journal is. So I kind of do both. Okay, now from here, what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to do a scallop edge here and here, and sew all the way around the outside, and then we'll have our finished journal cover and we'll continue on. So hold on just a minute and I'll be right back. Hi guys, I am back and here is the sewn journal cover, and let me show you what I did is all along the edge of the whole thing I sewed a straight stitch as close as I could to the edge of the journal. So I did that all the way around. And then what I did is right along the border of the lace, I did another straight stitch down on both sides. And then, like I told you, I was going to do along this rough edge that I folded in on the fabric, I did do a squiggly scallop stitch just along the lines on both sides of the rough edge. So there is the interior, and look what happened. I didn't even plan that, but I've got 2 pockets. Yay, right? So cool. And then here is the cover. As you can see, there's a little spot on there. Get that off of there. On the very edge, and there's the edge where the lace is attached, and here is the scalloping along the bottom and then along the top, and that is going to be the journal cover. This actually looks like a really nice placemat too. I'm not going to use it as a placemat. So from here, I'm going to figure out my spine. So let me measure this, the length of this journal. So there's 12. It is, let's see, let's try that again. I got to make sure I'm right. 12, 13 and a half. So it's 13 and a half inches long. So if I want to find the center, half of 13 and a half, no calculator, you guys, 6 3/4. So what I'm going to do is mark 6 3/4 on the bottom here with a little pencil here. 6 3/4. Let's see, there's a half and there's a quarter. It's not funny. Oh boy, I was never really that great at math. But it comes in handy even for junk journals. So I want to make sure these line up. So I'm doing the 6 3/4 and the 6 3/4. There it is, and there it is. That looks good. So from there, what I decided, since I found the middle, how wide do I want my spine to be? And I'm going to go with 2 inches. So for that, that would mean I have to go 1 inch in on both sides from my 6 3/4 inch mark, or the middle of my journal. So I'm going to go in 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. Let's see, is that 1 inch? Yep, that's 1 inch right there. Do the same on the other side here. There's 1 inch. Let's see. No, that's a 1/2 inch. 6 3/4. What am I doing? There's the center. Over to the side, 1 inch. There's the center, and over to the side, another inch. Okay, now from here, what I'm going to do is fold over on the edges, meaning not right in the center, but on, the border of my spine. So what that's going to look like is right there. Let's see, I'm going to start on this side because it's easier for me to see. Just fold that in. And I am going to get my little bone folder out. Actually, not a bone folder. Oh yeah, I'll use my bone folder right here. And make a crease. And it may not work that well because this is a quilted, thicker fabric. These work really well on paper. It may not work that well for this, but we'll give it a shot. That looks pretty good, right? Make sure it's even. Does that look even? Yep. Looks even on both ends. So there is one edge of my spine. Now we're going to go to the other side and find, here's the center again. We're going to find the inch mark over there. And we're going to fold in again. And you will find that with this, it is thicker than just folding over paper. I gotta say. So give it a good smush and a good fold there. And when you take it out, take your ruler out. I've got my 2-inch spine. Yay! Hey. Now from here, what I'm thinking to make sure this stays is I'm going to sew right along that line and right along this line. And that way, since it's a fabric cover and a soft, soft cover, it doesn't have a really, really strong crease. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to take my iron, which I do happen to have right here. So I am going to go, and I have my iron on, it looks like silk, so it's not going to be really hot. But what I'm going to do is go right along the edge of, that side of the spine. Gives it kind of it gives it a good crease. We're going to go on the other side here. Go right along there. That looks really, really good, you guys. So there is my spine. Yay! Oh, this is so fun. Oh man, I am so excited. And it just is looking so good. So now, in the next video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna gather papers. We're gonna, I think, put them into the journal, or maybe just gather the papers and do some embellishments on the papers, add what we've already made so far as our snippet clusters and our tags, maybe add some more, who knows, stamping, corners, pockets, I don't know. Have you guys ever decided you're going to use all your techniques or everything you have in mind in one journal? I do that, and I'm like, oh, then I can add tags. Oh, then I can add belly bands. Oh, then I can add corner tucks and pockets and, fold outs and envelopes. So, sorry, I just get really excited. So what I'm going to do, like I told you, is I'm going to sew on each edge just to give that spine a little more stability so it stays put. And I will see you in my next video. So this journal is looking really cool, you guys. So thank you again for being with me, and stay tuned for the next installment, and have a wonderful day, everyone. Thanks. Bye.